about being a sport, taking a knee for the team, the NFL's national anthem policy, and the First Amendment issues that flow from it. When Arthur Ashe sought to chronicle the historical and sociological impact of the history of the African American athlete, he didn't find much on the subject. He did find one book, Negro in Sport, that was written in 1938 by Edwin B. Henderson. It was updated in 1946. Out of that came the project that resulted in a 3-volume set of books, A Hard Road to Glory, the history of the African American athlete. And he started out in that project discussing the 1875 First Kentucky Derby. There were 14 African American jockeys, 15 horses in that race. 1890, you had the jockey clubs formed. By 1911, there are no more black jockeys in the sport. And he attributed that to just the plight and the fight of that some of the early African American athletes faced in the hard road to glory. Over the last 20 years, 1996, 2016, there hasn't been much on the topic of social change. But that changed when former San Francisco 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick took a knee and ushered in a new era of social activism in professional sports. So kind of where have we been from those jockeys in the First Kentucky Derby to where are we now? Where are we headed now that the players are taking a knee in the name of social and racial injustices at all levels of sport, including high school, college, and professionally? Kind of starts, the modern era starts in 1968, October 16th, almost 50, a little bit over 50 years now to the anniversary this year. That kind of set the standard for the modern era of sports. That was the day that Tommy Smith and John Carlos did what they called a human rights salute. A lot of people called it a Black Power salute at the time, but they wore the white buttons that stood for the OPHR button, which was the Olympic Human Rights Movement button. And they also were there with Peter Norman from Australia, who also wore the button. But when you look at the pictures, and we used to have one in Brother Howard Field's house where we had the protest, but you didn't look at it closely. I never got this until recently. They had on black socks. They had the shoes turned backwards. They had beads around their necks. They had a scarf around their neck, all to symbolize different parts of the human struggle and the poverty back home. Now, there were consequences of their actions. Both were kicked off the Olympic team, sent home, suspended by the USOC, ordered to leave the Olympic Village. The headline in the New York Times read, two black power advocates ousted from the Olympics. Both had trouble finding employment. Hard times were had by them both. Eventually, Tommy Smith, who was drafted in 1969 by the Bengals, was on the taxi squad for about 3 years, played in one NFL game. He eventually ends up in teaching college in Oberlin and at Santa Monica in California. For John Carlos, it wasn't as smooth. John Carlos, he had to deal with the suicide of his ex-wife in 1977, led through a period of depression. He also had brushes with the law before he settled in and became a high school counselor in Palm Springs, California. Then we had the next era. We go to kind of the 90s, where there really wasn't much going on. The 90s were kind of marked by Michael Jordan saying, Republicans buy sneakers too, kind of the opposite of the social protests of the 70s and 60s. And, out of that came, he was asked to get involved in the 1990 race in North Carolina with Jesse James and Harvey Gantt. He elected not to do so in the name of commerce. 1996, We had another social protest, didn't last as long, didn't really have everybody have camera phones, or no Twitter, no social media, but it was just as intense. That was when Chris Jackson, the former guard at LSU who had changed his name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, decided to not stand for the anthem before national NBA games. Everybody's outraged. He gets suspended by the league, and on the day that we had some sad events in Pittsburgh, 2 people went to the mosque in Denver and planted a flag there. It wasn't as bad as what we're hearing about today, but it was the same type of actions. So he ends up getting suspended and losing some salary, doesn't get re-signed. There were consequences for him in 1996. Fast forward, September 11, 2016, that's when we find out why Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Before that, previously, the Minnesota Lynx had already been protesting, the ladies of the WNBA, in a July game of 2016. They wore T-shirts with the message "Seeking Change," following the deaths of D.Orlando and Alton Sterling, who were both fatally shot by police. A little bit over a month later, in August, Colin Kaepernick starts to kneel. Okay, but after the game on September the 11th, he was first asked why he knelt by the NFL Network Steve Weiss, who had granted him an interview. Kaepernick started the protest against racial and social injustice in America, and it quickly spread throughout the league, the high school and the college ranks. Kaepernick opted out of his contract with the 49ers in March of 2017, and was not signed and has not been signed since. Eric Reed, the first player to kneel with him, has since finally signed, actually a month ago to this day, with the Carolina Panthers. And Reed, one of his quotes during the process before he got re-signed, he said, "GMs aren't the hold-up, broski. It's ownership. People who know football know who can play. People who know me know my character." So we have these protests, everything kind of maximized. The climax in Detroit, or for me it was in Detroit. It was the weekend the Falcons were playing the Lions. The Saturday that the president decided to call the players SOBs. And in Detroit, all of the owners and all of the owners around the league and most of the players took umbrage with that. Not all of the owners, some of them did. I know Arthur Blake came down on the field and linked arms with the players that day. And so we wanted to find out. Some were protesting or showing solidarity for Kaepernick. Others were doing it in retaliation to the comments that were made about them. So, get to the end of that season. We're in the summer. The owners' meetings in Atlanta. Well, the first one was in Orlando, then Atlanta, and they tried to unilaterally pass a policy. They tried to pass their Anthem policy, but then they backpedaled from it. They attempted to unilaterally institute the policy, which actually had a chilling effect, as few players are protesting weekly. Under that policy, the First Amendment rights came into question again. Our good old Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition government for redress. The NFL's policy clashed with that, or our constitutional protections, where they were saying to players, hey, everybody from the team, personnel, and the players must stand, or the team will be fined. If you don't want to stand, stay in the locker room. So that didn't go over too well, and the union decided that, we didn't bargain for this in the collective bargaining agreement. So the owners had already decided that they were going to do that, but without collectively bargaining for it, the policy's never implemented. Few players are standing. Few players are kneeling. So it's had its intended consequences by, throwing the policy out there and pulling it back. So the NFL doesn't have a policy. Major League Baseball doesn't have a policy that governs conduct during the national anthem. According to the NBA, they do have a policy resulting from the Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf situation in 1996, but they didn't enforce it when the WNBA players decided to protest. And in the NHL and the Hockey League, they said it's their preference for the players to be apolitical. Their rule book doesn't specify or mention any etiquette for the players during the U.S. or the Canadian anthems. So, do the players have a First Amendment right on the football field is the argument. Of course, we're a room full of lawyers, that, hey, that's a private entity, they can do what they want to do. So, the quick answer is no, they don't. NFL teams are private companies, essentially making the First Amendment right moot. But it gets murkier than that, and the fine handout that we had in the program gets into that nature. Yeah, they're private companies, but municipalities help build all these stadiums. There's a lot of taxpayer-funded stadiums. So you have I call it a quasi-private public partnership around these teams, but they get to act private when they find it to their benefit. And when we try to use open records requests as a quasi-public entity, you get met with a lot of resistance. So, players can be subject to discipline or termination as employees if they don't follow the rules, or they can be fined pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement entered into in 2011. Runs out 2021. We'll probably see a policy around that time. As we know, several of the NFL owner groups were under undue pressure once the president came out. There was about $8 million contributed to this campaign by NFL owners. It's widely reviewed. I got the list of the teams. We'll just go ahead and throw them out there. Jets, Jaguars, Patriots, in case you fan for your team or who they're sending the money to. Jets, Jaguars, Patriots, Browns, Rams, Bucks, Redskins, according to CNN Money. Now, with the interview with me in July, Falcons owner Arthur Blank, he had hosted the meeting, and he was torn about, trying to push the policy down the players' throats. He wasn't in the group of donors. He was actually an Obama donor. In the interview, Arthur Blank said, the NFL anthem policy is complex, while also adding that players should be able to exercise their constitutional rights under the First Amendment. He's a private employer. Now he's saying he's not, but let's keep going. Players do have First Amendment rights, Blank said. You talk to many members of the military, they'll tell you what they fought for also is not just the flag or the fabric, but what it stands for. It stands for our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Of course, the NFL and NFLPA haven't been able to resolve that. It's a complex issue, Blank said. It's complex enough that when you try to sort it out with the players, stadiums, owners, and fans, when you have a president that has the biggest mic in the room that can take you in different directions for his own reasons, it becomes very difficult. We have to worry about the right thing for our flag, the right thing for our players, and the right thing for our fans. Just wrapping up here, just want to talk about some of the consequences and outcomes. The social action money that the owners agreed to give Malcolm Jenkins and his group, the Players Coalition, coming out of these protests, they decided to give them $100 million. So hey, if you are upset about what's going on in your community.